Hi everyone, Chris here from Flying Star Astrology, and today we're going to be talking about a more general overview of the flying stars. For those of you who received the Flying Star Outlook, you got detailed information along with the Feng Shui remedies and activations for the stars, but today I want to talk about a more like a broader view of the stars, because these are things that you're likely to notice in your environment, in your community, in the world when you watch the news, or if you, read magazines or see articles online. And a friend of mine and I were talking the other day, and she and I were wondering, kind of speculating with each other about why people, places, and events are influenced. She happens to do astrology, traditional astrology, and I do the flying stars. And sometimes there's an overlap between what we do. Sometimes there's not, and I find that flying stars tends to be more accurate than the planets. I think my theory is just because there are so many planets with so many interpretations, and depending upon which one of the 12 houses they're sitting in and what combinations they're in, I think the message can get a little muddled just because there are so many possibilities that could exist with them. Whereas flying stars, you've got the annual star, you've got the monthly star. You can look at the daily star, and sometimes that will give you more information. But I find that looking at the annual stars and the monthly stars are more tend to be more accurate than even including the daily stars. So we were speculating about why are people influenced by this energy, if this information's been around for thousands of years. Astrology isn't new. It's been around for thousands of years. Flying stars isn't new. It's been around for thousands of years. And my particular take on it is that most of us are not actively thinking about how we want our lives to be on a daily basis. We may have goals or aspirations or even to-do lists that we need to accomplish on any given day, but we're not consciously molding how we want our lives to be. And what I mean by that is, even if we're reading inspirational material, if you have authors that you like who inspire you and help you with your goal setting, or help motivate you, or even watch YouTube videos that motivate you, there's so much now available that you can watch, that you can read, that you can see, that can help you on your path in life. We watch these things, or we read these things, or we write our mantras down, or we may meditate for 10 or 15 minutes a day, or however long we do whatever it is we do on our spiritual journey. But then in our daily actions at work, in our conversations with our families, in our activities that we participate in throughout the day, we tend to fall out of remembering what it is that we set out to do for the day, or for the week, or for the month, or for ourselves, or to change something about our lives that we don't like. And so we sort of operate in this, not a vacuum, but we're just sort of wandering about like zombies. And I don't mean to say that none of us are aware of what's going on around us, but for a lot of the day, if somebody were to interrupt you, you're probably having a mental conversation to yourself about what you need to do next, as opposed to actively trying to manage your day in a way that's going to be supportive and helpful of you. So when you're allowing these influences to come in, it's easy for these flying stars, or the planets, or your whatever it is that's influencing you, to have an effect on your life. So when I give you this information about the flying stars, it's not just to say here's what could happen to you, because the energy does have an influence, but it's also to help you understand that you can change it, or you can manipulate the energy in a way that is supportive of you. So when there are negative stars, for example, the friend that I was talking to, she had ordered the personal, the flying stars came with the personal outlook this year, and she was reading it for her stepdaughter, and she said, wow, this is going to be a really tough year for her. And I said, it does not have to be a tough year. what I'm doing is I'm pointing out, here are the stars that are affecting these areas of your life, I should say. And so don't approach this year as, well, whatever comes, comes. You need to approach it as, here's an opportunity for me to change my life for the better. Here's the energy that is more likely to influence me this year. And how can I work with that in a way that is supportive and beneficial of me? So when I give you this information, that's really what I'm trying to do. It's not to be a doomsday prediction or say things are going to be horrible for you, because I don't believe that flying stars or planets or anything else has that much power over us. I believe that there is energy out there, and sometimes it's stronger at one point in our lives than it is at another point. And so when that happens, it's kind of like when it rains. Sometimes it rains and it waters your garden and your plants grow. Other times it rains in places and there are dramatic floods. It's disastrous. So when you have the stars that are more likely to bring the floods in your life, how do you prepare for that in a way that you're not going to drown in it? That's the whole idea of the flying stars, and me explaining how they work and trying to help you work with them in a way that's supportive of you. So with that being said, so flying star number 1 for 2020, which the flying stars fly into place on January 25th, 2020. Now that's the annual stars. The monthly stars actually don't change until February 4th. So the stars that we have now for the month are going to still be the stars when the annual stars fly in. I'm not really going to spend any time talking about that because it's only for like another week or so. So I'll be talking about the monthly flying stars on my regular YouTube video shortly. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the flying stars for the year. So flying star number 1 is the new beginning star. So it's an opportunity for a fresh start. It's an opportunity to be number 1, as because the number 1 is the flying star number 1. And it sits in the Northeast. The Northeast is all about learning, teachers, books, wisdom, and spiritual growth from a kind of a more traditional point of view, like religion or the writings of people that inspire you. So this is a good year for people in general and then that's what I'm talking about when I'm doing this video, is the in general, not you specifically. So what you may see in your environment or in the people around you or just in the world in general is people are starting to take a new look at the way they think about the world, the way they think about God, the way they think about religion, the way they think about politics, because this is all about your beliefs. And so it's likely that people are going to come to some sort of new decision about where their thoughts have been in the past and how they want to go forward. So it's an opportunity for people to change the way they think, which is not a bad thing. It's, that's usually when you change, you're changing for the better, or at least hopefully that's the case. So if there's anything that you've wanted to change in your life, this is a good year to do it as far as your spiritual growth goes, or any kind of learning. It could be learning for work, or, learning for just for the sake of learning something that you're interested in, but it's more likely to be for your own spiritual development. So as you watch the news this coming year, or you talk with people that you work with, or your clients, or coworkers, or even your neighbors, or people in your church or your synagogue, or whatever, wherever you are out in the world, pay attention to what they're saying about what they believe, whether it's political, whether it's religious, whether it's, how the foundation of how they're living their lives, because you may be inspired by something somebody says. So don't, if there's somebody in your community of people who in the past you haven't particularly seen eye to eye with in some area of your life versus their life, be a little more open-minded this year, because you may hear them saying things that inspire you, or that make you see things in a new light. So um, just be open. Just be open and receptive. Don't, this, I see so much on TV, people saying, no, they're wrong. I can't believe what they say. They're always lying, or they're conniving, or they're this or they're that. This is a good year to put those thoughts aside and just listen. It doesn't mean you have to agree with people that who are talking, or even the conversations that are going on around you. Just pay attention to what people are saying, because I think you're going to notice a shift this year, and not just where you are in your community, but also nationally and globally. Flying star number 2 is the star of illness. And normally what I see, I mean, unless you have a chronic illness that you have not been able to control well, I don't normally see this star come up as showing up as illness. So what I normally see the star showing up as is hard work. And since it sits in the south, which is the area of fame, recognition, celebrities, fashion, toys, industries that have a lot of change in them, what we're likely to see is that those industries are going to have to work harder this year to be successful, or to maintain their fame. For example, somebody was mentioning the other day that, people really aren't going to the movies. They're staying home and watching Netflix or HBO or whatever it is that they're watching, or, downloading things on Hulu and watching it on their phone. But the people aren't like going to the movies. So if that's truly the case, and I haven't looked at the stats to see if that's correct or not, this is going to be a year where the movie industry and movie celebrities will have to work harder to gain the support and the eyeballs of consumers who want to see, movies or film of any kind. Because if they're turning to TV as opposed to the movie theater, that indicates that industry is not likely going to make as much money this year. So they need to rethink how they're doing things. They need to rethink their strategy on how to get people to come out and watch, come to the theater to watch their shows, as opposed to sitting at home and watching it on Netflix. So that is all about the South. Flying star 3 is the conflict star. It can bring disagreements, lawsuits, things of that nature. And with it sitting in the north is all about the career and the future. So you may hear people talking about the future in a way that conflicts with what you think about the future, or even at work, people not agreeing about things like the direction that they want the company to go. You may see management being in disagreement about that, or even coworkers who may not have been the best of friends, or have just sort of tolerated each other, but have not really been, they stay away from each other just to avoid conflict, because they just don't really like each other, and they're mature adults, and they, that's the best way that they can handle it, since they have to work in the same office. This is the year you may see that they actually argue about things, or more lawsuits in the world of business as a result of this flying star being there. So what this flying star is telling you is to bring more humor into your conversations with people, and also to keep dialogue open, keep lines of communications open. Because what I found, and I'm sure you have seen this too, it's not new information, is that usually when people disagree, it's because either A, one side or both sides don't have all the information, and so they're making a judgment based upon a limited amount of data, whereas if they had all the information, they may come to a different decision about something. Or they may be more resourceful in coming up with a way to compromise with the person that they don't particularly agree with if they had all of the information. The other thing that I see is that people, especially like in the last decade or so, they are not willing to listen to each other. We're not willing to hear the other person's side because we have already decided in our own minds that they are wrong. So it doesn't matter what they say, they're wrong, and I am not going to listen. So if we're willing to listen to the other side, and I don't mean, when I say listen, I don't mean just hear what the other person has to say, and as soon as they stop talking, you start talking and telling your side. I mean, truly listening to what they have to say. So when you're an active listener, if you disagree with something or somebody says something that kind of strikes you as, or maybe even it pushes your buttons or strikes you as odd or not, you don't quite understand what they're saying, what do? You ask questions. So when you're actively listening to what somebody else is having to say, even if you don't like what they're saying, ask them questions about it. Say, what do you mean by blah, blah, blah? And get them to explain further. Or if they say, make a statement about something and you don't agree with that statement, ask them to elaborate further, or ask them how would that apply to, whatever the topic is at hand if it doesn't seem to make sense to you. So this is a great year, especially at work and especially in business, to ask questions and actively listen to other people around you, because it will diffuse this energy of conflict, of disagreement, and lawsuits. Now, lawsuits are kind of a tricky thing because usually what brings about a lawsuit is something that's already happened before. Like something doesn't happen right now and all of a sudden somebody sues you, unless it's like a car accident or something like that. But even then, that can drag out for months before it actually goes to court or the lawyer draws up the papers. So lawsuits, any lawsuits that come up this year related to business are likely things that have been festering for a long time, and the energy of the stars this year just sort of bring that to the forefront. And so now the lawsuit is coming into play, or now the lawsuit is going to court. So, this is a year to definitely be open, be receptive, be an active listener, and use a sense of humor. Go to the comedy clubs, laugh more, tell jokes, and, find humor in yourself. Even if you do something that turns out that you made a mistake, laugh at yourself about it. And then, even if you have somebody in the office who's quick to point out how many mistakes you've made, just say, yeah, so I made a mistake, I'm human, and just let it go, because there's really no point in disagreement. Disagreement is just a lack of communication in my personal view. Flying star number 4, this is all about relationships, and the Southwest is all about one-on-one relationships. So we're likely to see more people connect with each other in a one-on-one setting this year. This could be more women becoming mothers this year, more people getting married this year, more people dating this year, more people going into a partnership with somebody for business, for a book writing, for any kind of collaboration with one other person. This is a really good year for that. So if there's something on your agenda that you have been looking for, like a relationship or a partnership, a business partnership, or you want to collaborate with somebody on some sort of project or endeavor, this is a really, really, really good year for that. And so if you can move your office to the Southwest, if that's, if it's a business related type deal, or if you can't, like if you work in an office building in your personal office or cubicle, or where your desk is not in the Southwest area of your office, create like a makeshift office in the Southwest area of your home if you can, or even just put like your business cards there along with the names or business cards of the people that you want to collaborate with or that you want to have a relationship with. So that's a good place to do that. If you're doing online dating, a friend of mine did this a number of years ago. And one of the things that she did, in addition to putting a headboard on her bed, because I told her she'd been sleeping without a headboard on her bed for, I don't know, like 2 decades. And she would date people for a while and then it would fall apart. And I said, well, you know, in Feng Shui, the headboard on a bed represents support. So your bed is where you sleep with your significant other, and you're not getting a supportive significant other because you don't have this headboard. Of course, there are other things, right? It's not just the headboard, but it's like symbolic, right? So she got a headboard. She'd been on an online dating site for 5 years, I think it was, and like none of the relationships, she met some nice guys, but nothing was like really ever working out. Well, she decided that she was going to end her membership on this online dating site as soon as her membership was over, which was like a month or 2 away. She had put the headboard on her bed, and she responded to a couple of guys who, you know, had contacted her through the website to set up dates. All but one fell through. She ended up marrying that guy. So, you know, Feng Shui is not the be-all end-all. Flying stars are not the be-all end-all. But again, it's energy. It's what you're telling the universe that you want when you use your Feng Shui to help work with the flying stars. So the flying stars are like a piece of the universe saying, here's the energy we have for you. This is what you can do with it. And then the Feng Shui is your side of it, being able to use the energy of the flying stars to help you. So that's that. Flying star 5. All right, so this is like the worst flying star out there. And old school people say that it's the disaster star, horrible things can happen, including death and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it is possible, and I have seen that happen once, but in the situation that I saw, it was an older lady. She had Alzheimer's and dementia. She was very close to her husband. He passed away, and she, went in her lucid moments, she discovered he was gone, and she passed away less than 2 months later when the Flying Star 5 was on her health direction along with the robbery star. So it's possible for that to happen. Is it likely? No. So what this star generally means, and the way I've seen it play out, is it's asking you to change some area of your life. This year, the flying star sits in the east, which is the area of government. So what the flying star is saying is we need a change in government. Now, whether you think it should be one way or another way is irrelevant. The flying star is saying change is needed. It's not saying what kind of change is needed. It's not saying that change is going to be good. It's not saying change is going to be bad. It's just saying that change is coming. So we're likely to see globally a lot of change in government. So, you know, the United States has their elections in November of 2020. That's going to bring change in the government. Venezuela is having problems. Iran is having problems. Iraq is having problems. Europe is having problems. I'm not sure, you know, what governments are having elections this year and what's going on in every country, because I'm just not that aware globally anymore like I used to be when I was in finance and had to be. But change is coming. So when you think about like the kind of people that you would want to see in charge of the government, don't focus on those people that you hate, because here's the thing with energy, whether it's flying star energy, whether it's planet energy, whether it's whatever kind of energy, whether it's, you know, Reiki energy, whatever kind of energy, what you focus on is where your energy goes. So I know from the movie The Secret, there was a guy in it, excuse me just a second, who said energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. And it wasn't his saying, it was somebody else's saying, but I can't remember whose. Anyway, that's the truth. So if there is a candidate, if there is a person in government that you absolutely hate, stop giving them your energy. Because even though you're thinking I'm sending this negative energy to this person to get them out of office or for something bad to happen to them. What you're actually doing is giving them energy, period. You are not necessarily giving them negative energy. You're sending them energy. They're able to take that energy and use it in a way that they want. So let's say, for example, and I'll use this one because a lot of my friends have been through this. You get divorced. You cannot stand your ex-spouse, whoever that may be. And instead of just saying, you know what, this didn't work out, I was wrong for you, you were wrong for me, we need to just go our separate ways, and I wish you all the best and all the good that life has to offer, and I wish the same for me, and I hope that the rest of our lives are good. I hope that they're good for both of us, because you're never going to see this person again, hopefully, unless you had children, and then you're going to probably see them the rest of your lives. But if you never see them again, it's kind of good to just end on a positive note, right? Just send them out the door with your blessings and wish the same for yourself. They don't have to wish that for you, but you're wishing for yourself, right? What you give to others. And then if you do have to see them the rest of your lives because you have children, at least your energy towards this person will be good. Like if his is negative or hers is negative and yours is also negative, then when you come together, it's just going to be like fanning the flames, and it's going to be horrible for everybody when they're with the two of you. But if yours are positive and yours are beneficial and yours are uplifting and yours are divine, and even if theirs aren't, you are taking charge of your energy because you have made a conscious decision to lift yourself up out of the quagmire of the negativity. So it's going to be better for you. Even if the encounter is miserable for them, you are going to have, at worst, a neutral experience because you're lifting yourself up out of the negative energy so that you can feel good because you want a better life for yourself. Well, the same is true when you think about your government leaders. You want to send them good wishes. Now, I know there are some people who feel really strongly about certain people in government because I hear it from these people every day. And I finally had to tell one person, please stop telling me how much you don't like this person, because honestly, I already know this. You don't need to keep telling me. And frankly, I just don't care, because that's the truth. I don't care. It's like, how is this helpful to anybody? It's not. But what you want to do is, if there's somebody you don't like, just mentally in your head, imagine saying to them, I wish you the best in whatever life holds for you, and I release you to your highest good elsewhere. Elsewhere is the key. That means not where they are right now. You're sending them away elsewhere. Now, why do you want to do this? Because you don't, the thing is, energy is kind of like, it has a boomerang effect. So when you're sending somebody out with good wishes or neutral wishes, you're sending that energy comes back to you. So if you're sending somebody out in bitterness and rage and anger and frustration, what you're doing is you're kind of holding up a mirror back to yourself. It's like standing in front of a mirror and sending this energy out. What happens? It reflects back to you. It may not come back to you immediately, and it may not come back to you in a way that you even recognize. So, sorry about that. So what you want to do is send people out with good intention. And then the change that you see will hopefully be the change that you're looking for. And if it's not, hopefully that when these people come into office, they will do things that surprise you and benefit you in a way that you weren't expecting. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture. Flying Star 6. This is all about windfall, and it's also the power star. So people in authority, this is a good star for. This star sits in the southeast, which is the area of assets and accumulating wealth. So we may find that the stock market or certain businesses in the stock market do really well this year, like have a sudden bounce. And we could also see people in authority experience some kind of windfall, some kind of opportunity, some kind of success that they weren't expecting and that other people weren't expecting, quite frankly. So that's how that star works. And if you have my Flying Star outlook for 2020, you know how to activate the energy of this area to improve your finances. So if you don't have that, definitely I'll show you how to do that at the end of this presentation. Flying Star 7 is called the robbery star. This is about loss and theft. But really what this star is doing is it's asking you to manage your money wisely and make sure that you're doing things that are smart when it comes to the security of your assets. So that can be your home, that can be your car, which means when you leave your car, if you go to the grocery store and you get out of your car, lock the doors. When you leave your house to go to work for the day or to go to the dry cleaner or to go wherever you need to go, lock the house up, lock the windows up. When you're spending your money, think through whether the expense that you're about to incur makes sense to you. So of course, you need electric, you need water, you need to pay your rent or your mortgage, you need to make a car payment, but it may not be the best time to splurge on, like a fancy new pair of shoes or a day at the spa. It doesn't mean you can't spend money on those things. It's just saying stop and think about where you're spending your money and does this make sense? So the way I've seen this work in the past is that when this star lands, and right now for 2020, this is the theme star. So this is the overriding theme that affects everything on our planet this year is financial loss or theft. So that's permeating everything. That's permeating relationships, that's permeating careers, that's permeating the stock market, that's permeating government, that's permeating all of the other areas of the Flying Star Bagua is this theme of loss. But what it can usually do, or what I usually find that it does, is it gives you the opportunity to spend money in a way that you've wanted to before. So you may decide that you want to launch your own business or a new product line or a new service or go back to school or take a trip. That's going to cost money. And so you're going to spend your money on those things. And that's not a bad thing. It can be a wonderful thing. You may love the trip that you go on, and it may be worth every penny, and you may even spend more than you budgeted for. Or you may decide that now is a perfect time for you to spend money on going back to school or starting a new business. So the Lost Star is not about having things stolen from you or losing money. To me, it's more about where do you want to allocate your resources, your financial resources, and also safety. That's just common sense, smart stuff. You don't have to worry, oh my God, am I going to be held up in the park at gunpoint? I mean, I'm sure that kind of thing happens, but again, this goes back to my point that 99.9% of the time, that is not what's going to happen to you. What's going to happen is you're going to be faced with a decision. Does it make sense to spend money on XYZ? And that's going to be where you decide yes or no, it's worth it. So don't be panicked about that star and just think about what it is you're spending your money on and think about the big picture and what you're going to gain as a result of spending this money. And then you can make wise decisions about your finances. Excuse me. Flying Star 8 is the star of wisdom and personal growth, learning, usually book learning, things of that nature. And it sits in the Northwest, which is the area of helpful people, travel, mentors, God, the universe, things of that nature. So this is a good year for us to see people turn to God as a source of inspiration. This past year, 2019, people may have felt that God was not on their side because the fire star was sitting in the northwest. And when fire sits in the northwest, it's called fire at heaven's gate, which means people feel like God is not on their side, that that all of their good luck has been burned up, that God isn't listening, that there is no God, things of that nature. But this is a year to really reconnect with your spiritual center. And if you don't have a spiritual center, or you're not sure, like what you believe, or like you grew up in a certain, like I grew up in an Episcopal church. I haven't been to one since I was like 18, 16, something like that. And, that kind of church religion doesn't really work for me personally, but I found authors who write in a way that are really inspiring to me. And those have changed over the years. Sometimes when initially in my 20s, Tony Robbins, like I could not get enough of Tony Robbins. Everything he said made perfect sense to me. And I ended up following some things that he suggested in one of his books, which escapes me at the moment. And it helped launch my career in finance, which I did for 15 years, and I really loved every minute of it. And now that I'm older, I find that the writings of people like Catherine Ponder, Dr. Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, people like that are very inspiring to me. I also like F.W. Sears and some other people. These are like old time writers. I don't know if Catherine is still alive, but Joseph Murphy died in the 1980s, and Neville Goddard, I think, died in the 50s or 60s, and F.W. Sears even before that. So it's a good year to connect with a mentor that kind of helps you like reconnect to your spiritual center. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense here. I'm trying to think of the right words. So, I mean, you can absolutely connect with a mentor for your business, for your, your health, anything, any kind of mentor who's going to help inspire and lift your spirits is going to be good for you. So it doesn't have to necessarily be for spiritual growth. It can be anything else. But just because the Northwest is tied to spiritual, connecting with God, that's kind of why I have that theme running through my head. But it's also a fabulous year for travel. So if there's been like a trip that you've wanted to take, for some reason I'm hearing India in my head, so I don't know if somebody's looking to go to India to connect with a mentor or a guru over there. But this would be a fabulous year for you to do that. So any kind of spiritual trip, or any kind of trip that is going to lift your spirits and make you feel good from the inside out and not the outside in, because this is all about you and your center, is going to be good for you. So maybe there's a class you wanted to take, or a seminar, or maybe you've wanted to go see certain ruins or temples that are, have a spiritual energy to them, or, even like Sedona, Arizona is supposed to have like vortexes of positive energy. This is a good year to do that and to plan to do that, because you're going to get a lot out of it, even if you don't realize at the moment while you're there that you're getting out of it. When you come back, the knowledge that you gain from a trip like that, or for connecting with a mentor this year who's going to help lift you up, whether it's somebody that you take a class with or you just read books about, read their inspirational, whatever they have to say that motivates you, it's really going to carry into your future for a long time, because Flying Star 8 is about long-term benefits. So sorry about that, my phone keeps ringing. I need to really turn this thing off so that you don't have to keep hearing that. going on and on over and over. Hang on just a second here. I'm turning it down. And so anyway, that's really all I have to say about that. But even if you've wanted to be a mentor, you don't have to necessarily find a mentor. If you have wanted to be a mentor for somebody else in some area that you know something about, it doesn't have to be religious, it doesn't have to be spiritual, it can be about anything. It can be about health, it can be about pottery, it can be about gardening, it can be about literally anything. You will likely find that you are able to draw people to you who are interested in what you have to say and even want to take classes from you. So if you've wanted to teach a class about something, no matter what it is, it could be about computers, literally it does not matter what it is. People are going to look up to you and see you as a mentor in your field. So it's a great year to do something like that. So put that on your calendar and start working on that. All right, flying star number 9. This is the last flying star that we're going to be talking about. This is all about fame and recognition, and this star sits in the west. It's fire energy sitting in the west, so it can leave people feeling burnt out as a result of like so many creative ideas and creative thoughts coming to them that it's overwhelming and they feel drained. So it's really good this year to take a break from that. So when you get motivated by all this stuff you're doing because of flying star number 8, remember to take a break and relax and enjoy yourself and do what number 7 star says, which is the theme star, which is spend some money on yourself. Maybe go to the spa, get your nails done, get your hair done, go on a fishing trip. Do whatever it is that you do that causes you to relax. Go to the beach. That would be wonderful. So in addition to the mentoring star in the northwest, with the fame star sitting in the west, being in the area of creativity and technology and children, what you could find is if what you mentor on or who you go to be mentored by, either you could become famous as a result of what you mentor on, especially if it's in the area of creativity, technology, or children. Or if you go to see somebody to be mentored in the area of creativity, technology, or children, it's likely to be with somebody famous. And again, this is going to be a good connection. You're gonna get a lot out of it. It's just going to possibly feel overwhelming just because of the flying star number 9 sitting there. So just remember with this star that you want to relax, you want to take it easy. The other thing on a more global level that we're likely to see with this star, with the fame star sitting in the west, is more children become popular this year. It could be through, the Disney TV shows or music or whatever. But it can also put children in the spotlight for things that are not necessarily beneficial. So like the Jeffrey Epstein situation and the pedophiles that he helped supply he helped supply young girls to take care of these pedophiles. That kind of information could be more prevalent in the news. Like we could hear more and more and more stories like that, or about children that are not necessarily things we want to hear, or things that are uplifting, or things that are beneficial. But we're also likely to hear more things about the area of technology, but it could be things that again are not necessarily beneficial, because even though the fame star is sitting there and can be beneficial, with it sitting in the west, that's a clashing energy. So for example, we've heard a number of stories about Elon Musk and his SpaceX program and the Tesla car. We could hear more things like that that are not good. In terms of like things that are not going well with regard to technology. But it's also an opportunity for companies to come out with products that people really like, at least initially. Now, whether they like them for the long term, that's another story. That may not be the case, but that's just the energy of the fame star sitting where it is in the west. And I think that's it. So for those of you who have not purchased your Flying Star Outlook, you're definitely going to want to do that, because the Flying Star Outlook has more details about each one of the stars, as well as how to activate the Feng Shui energy for the beneficial stars and how to reduce it for the stars that are more challenging. And then there's also a personal Flying Star Outlook that's based on your birthday and your gender. So you're going to want to take a look at that and get an outlook, see what the year has in store for you and how to work with the stars so that you have the best year possible. So that you can get either one of those by going to, or actually they come together, so that it's not either one. You get them together. You can go to flyingstarastrology.com and look for the Flying Star Outlook, or you can use this shortcut, the bit.ly shortcut here, and get the Flying Star Outlook that way. So if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and post those down below, and I will definitely take a look at them and get back to you. And then if there are other videos that you want to see that I have not yet made, post your comment down below and I'll take a look at making that. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so now just by clicking the subscribe button, and you will be notified every time I upload a new video. So I hope you like that, and I hope 2020 is a great year for you. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.